program will begin shortly. Launch sequence. Activate. Warning, the following content is not politically correct. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome back to the channel today, everyone. So we have a great show planned for you, and I see that there's already quite a few of you in the chat, so welcome in. It's been a couple weeks. Yeah, I was traveling last week. I was in Michigan for my sister's wedding, and then I got back just as this show would normally air. So we didn't have a show last week, but we do this week. So first things first, if you don't already, make sure you go subscribe to my Rumble channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, go subscribe to rumble.com/Sara Higdon. And my first guest, or my guest, is you'll see why here in a second. So if you don't already know, my guest today is Marcus Dibbs, aka the Offensive Tranny. Welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
The now banned on YouTube.
Apparently so.
So how have the last couple well, first off, why don't you just go into and start talking about what happened, like what you've been dealing with like the last, I guess, 24 48 hours?
Yeah, so yesterday I got an email from YouTube that said that my YouTube channel is permanently banned, and I was like, what? I was a little bit confused about why that was. And then I sent my appeal, but they didn't ignore it, but they didn't agree apparently. And that didn't take them long, maybe like an hour or two. So obviously no one is actually looking through all of my content.
Yeah, they don't. Same thing happened with Twitter when I was kind of kicked off of there. So you're right, they don't do that.
Right. So yeah, I'm trying to get my channel back because I've been working really hard for like years, but I'm not expecting anything to this point.
Yeah. So now I have it loaded up already. So again, as I said, for me, if you do not already, go subscribe to Marcus's YouTube channel or Rumble channel. Because as we start to see this happen, we're going to start to, we need alternate platforms. YouTube has kind of been one of those places where it hasn't really started the ban train, but it's only a matter of time before they really start hammering down. Now, what's interesting is because, I mean, you had gotten your YouTube channel up. So this is what people don't realize. Me and you, I think we started our YouTube channels around the same time. And you were actually one of my first guests on the show. And about back in 2020. And so, you know, and you were, I know you were really killing it out there. What were you up to? 70 something thousand followers, 75. And yeah, just making great videos. I mean, you can see on your Rumble channel, just great videos on all the good topics. And it's amazing. Now I don't have the article. I just submitted the article today. A few hours ago. So there should be an article published that I wrote here pretty soon, but you had made a statement in there, and I forget, what did you say? You made it on your Twitter.
Yeah.
About how YouTube had, I mean, it's amazing how they continue to silence trans voices that don't agree. And I think that's what the whole thing about it was. But like, I looked through some of this stuff. You look through your videos, and it's like, what did they think was hateful?
I have no idea. And I don't know if that's the reason why they banned me, because it says, they say that I am, what's it called? violating their rules and policies, but they don't explain what I'm doing wrong and what policies I'm violating. So I'm very confused about the whole thing.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things, like, they don't actually, they owe creators who spend time, on their channels, they owe an explanation to tell, what exactly do you do to break these rules? And you've never received even a strike on your channel, have you?
I actually did, and it was supposed to expire in June, which is a little bit ironic. And I got a strike. I don't know what I did, but I got 2 videos removed from my channel. The one when I made a video about the Sims update where they made top surgery scars, and like I can't remember the other one. What was the other update in that game with the trans women? I can't remember. Oh,
Yeah, what's that?
They made shapewear. I'm not sure what that is, but like shapewear.
Oh, yeah, that was on the Sims game too, right? Or was it on something else? I forget.
No, it was.
I remember that story, but they didn't let you know, like, what it was. Was it wasn't a copyright violation? It wasn't anything like that?
It was hate.
Now, it was considered hateful. I mean, that was like my tweet was saying gender dysphoria is a mental illness, which, come on. And then they Twitter suspended me for that. But I got an apology for that because from Twitter, right? It's hard to say because YouTube does not have a good track record. But I mean, they let some of the worst of stuff on this channel. Like, they let the worst stuff on YouTube, and yet you get just one strike, that one BS strike, and then just ban. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything happen like that before.
Me neither. I still don't believe it, actually.
Now, question though, because I don't know if everybody watching might not know, you live
in Denmark.
In Denmark, right? And so, what are your laws in regards to like hate speech and all that stuff? Is it
I'm
like
not
strict?
sure. I'm not sure, but the last time I checked, the U.S. is way more woke than my country. So, yeah. But
Really? Now, no, go ahead.
I'm the president of this organization, new anti-woke LGBT organization here, and we've been a lot in the media, so that means we have a lot of haters, and I can't help thinking if it also has something to do with me getting banned. But if it's a American department, like, I don't think it's relevant, but it's a little bit weird why they didn't ban me a year ago when my organization didn't exist. So,
well, you weren't making headway. I mean, because you've grown quite quickly, which has been awesome to watch. But it's like that's part of it. But it's interesting because we always hear them say, "Why don't more trans people speak out about this?" And the thing is we do, and then we get banned because we're trans people that are speaking against the narrative that they want to push. We're speaking against their ideology,
right.
And so I think that's I mean, it's unfortunate, and that's why we have to continue to help build platforms like Rumble and stuff like that, and get them to do good things. And I just called a person that I know that works at Rumble today, so we're meeting, and we're gonna see what we can do there, because YouTube is not the future, especially if you're a creator that's on the right. So yeah, a lot in the chat, free Marcus, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's see. And then, no, I mean, we're trying to put pressure on YouTube, But I don't know. It's going to be really, it's an uphill fight with some of these platforms. Like Twitter's was pretty easy after Elon took over, because he said we are a free speech platform, and so you can appeal to that. Where this,
I got my
YouTube.
I got my TikTok banned. I got my TikTok banned, or like they took my account, and then I I used my trans card, and 5 minutes later I got my TikTok back. So that was a little bit funny, but it didn't work.
That is good. But are you still on? Do you still have a TikTok account?
Yeah, I only use it just to watch TikToks. I don't, every time I post, it gets removed. The videos get removed. So and it's all haters.
Yeah.
It's all haters, and I get death threats, and it's a mess.
Yeah, my TikTok algorithm is really bad. I don't even go on there to watch videos but only just for content. And so it's like, it's just the worst of the worst on there, you know?
Yeah.
But now I saw even Kelly Kadigan got a strike on TikTok today. And I mean, that's the thing, is she's got a lot of followers over there, but they don't care. Like,
No.
They will just remove you with 10 million followers. They don't care. They just remove you.
Yeah.
So it really is, and it's going to have to be something. And now Elon Musk is also talking about creating video platform on Twitter. And
right.
So I've applied for subscriptions over there, and maybe doing posting videos under the subscription service, and make it a very cheap subscription service, so that you can go in there and possibly just pay for the videos that we're putting out, and maybe that'll help a little bit. And really, all Elon has to do is flip the switch to put Periscope back up, because Periscope, it was basic. So Periscope was an app that was owned by Twitter, and it was basically like YouTube, but there wasn't a lot of ways to make money over on Periscope that I knew of. At least I wasn't big enough to really do much, but it was, you could go on there and you would post in Periscope, and a lot of times it would host the videos from Periscope and embed it right into a tweet as well. So they got rid of that, I think, last year or a year and a half ago. But it's one of those things that when he purchased Twitter, he basically purchased Periscope and all the algorithms to it. So all they really have to do is flip the switch to turn it back on if he wants to, which is, it sounds like he said he wants to do something. He wants to, I think Vine was another one that Twitter owned that they shut down too. And so he said that his service is going to kind of be like Vine with Periscope. So it's kind of going to pull both ends of the spectrum, like Reels and stuff like that in there too. So I'm hopeful, and hopefully we can figure out ways to see how that actually gets monetized. I know, like, a lot of creators are starting to publish full episodes on Twitter. So I mean, but I do think that Rumble is the way to go right now, because they already have a good platform set up. My issue with Rumble is they just don't have the advertisement right now, but I know that they're working on that. The good thing about Rumble, and this is what I found, when I've started doing these live streams, I realized that live streams get a lot more views on Rumble than YouTube. Like, my average live stream over here on YouTube was like maybe 150, and I get like 300 to 400 views on a live stream over there. So I think they're set up. It's set up pretty good that way. Even if you were just to do that, but hopefully we hear something back though, and we can put enough pressure on YouTube to bring it back. But we gotta figure something out.
Yeah, I won't accept this. Like, I need an explanation at least, and they can't give me one because there's no reason to ban me. So that's why I'm not accepting this whole thing. Not because like I'm so mad at YouTube and I want to boycott it and all those things, but at the same time, like it's like I want, it should be my choice if I don't want to use YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't want that choice being made for
I
me.
think we all kind of want to get off YouTube, but right now it's the best platform we got. And the thing is you've spent how many?
4 years.
4
No,
years. 4 years on YouTube building your channel, and just for it to just disappear.
Yeah, and it's not just that, it's not just been my job and hobby or whatever. It's like it's been a huge part of my life. It's the way that I'm connecting with the US, and I don't know if I'm just so devastated.
Is that where your audience mostly resided though, was in the US?
Yeah, in English speaking countries,
Yeah.
Britain, Australia,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I know. I think the U.S. probably has the largest audience, and so that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's the way that you connect to people. It's I don't know where we first met. It was either here or Twitter, but we were kind of in the same circles, and
Yeah,
I don't know.
or Instagram.
But I mean, that's why I was like, it's got to be, it's got to be devastating when that happens, because like you said, now, I mean, you had become a full-time, it had become your full-time job, what, 6 months,
Yeah,
7 months ago?
actually almost 9 months ago. Yeah. And I
Wow.
quit
It's
my
already been that
full-time
long.
job. I quit my full-time job as a barista a little bit early, no, way too early on, because I thought if I'm not going to start now going all in, I will never do it. So I needed the pressure. I needed the financial pressure as well, and it worked. Yeah. So now I'm freaking out a little bit. I don't have a job.
Yeah. I mean, that's where I think for me it's been very good, because it's actually been good that I've been growing so slowly, because I didn't just jump into the YouTube and then getting banned wouldn't do a ton. I mean, I have different contracts that I'm doing and stuff like that. So there, in a lot of ways, I'm very uncancelable in that regard. But still, I mean, it's something that even if it happened to me, then it would still be devastating, because it's taken so long just to get to where I am right now. So it's upsetting. On that same track, though, I mean, did you see this? What's going on in Ireland right now?
No.
So let me show you this. This is insane to me. Let me see. So let me see. Pop this one. Is that the right one? That's this one. All right. So this bill in Ireland, they have a bill right now that's passed. That's on track to pass right now. It's in like their like Senate, and it's basically a hate speech bill, to where they can jail you for up to 5 years for hate speech, what they deem hate speech. What's hate speech? It doesn't say.
Of course not.
But yeah, I wrote this up in Human Events yesterday, and I was shocked, and it actually got quite a bit of traction on Twitter, because the worst part about this bill, it's like they treat hate speech like child porn, because they say in this section it says that basically a person shall be presumed until the person acts. So it basically puts the burden of proof on the person that has like this content, and it puts the burden on proof on them until, so they have to prove that they were not going to disseminate this hateful conduct that was found on their computers. So it's like so basically they can go onto your computer, and it says that they can prepare or possess material that is likely to incite violence or hatred against a person or a group of persons on account of their protected characteristics. Sounds like what you got.
It sounds like you too, which is ironic because Google Ireland, is that how you said it in English? Ireland.
Yeah. Ireland.
They're the ones paying me. So
Google in Ireland is paying you.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
I'm not
Yeah,
shocked.
no, but see, this thing is, I heard like Ireland was one of the more like had really good like free speech and stuff like that. Like they've shot like this type of stuff down in the past, but now this just passed their upper chamber, and it's really like just for possession, you can get 2 years in prison. I mean, possession on your computer. And so basically, I said it's Orwellian. Like it reminds me of 1984, like wrong think type stuff, to where they can like just go and see what's on your computer and then like arrest you for it. Like they're always watching what you're doing. And I mean, I'm not going to be going to Ireland anytime soon if this passes. I mean, they will probably have a warrant out for my arrest.
Oh my God.
But that's what the other thing that it says in the bill is that it's hate speech whether you posted it while you were in the country or not. So basically anything that they deem hate speech, you can, if you travel to Ireland, you will get you'll get caught up for.
Oh my God.
But you're right, it sounds like YouTube. It's so bad. Let me see. And yeah, and so in this, they actually there was an amendment that was scheduled that would include the UN's Convention on Human Rights Protections on Free Speech within the bill. That amendment was defeated. So they don't even want to use what the UN says is okay, is like protects free speech.
Oh my. Wow. What's happening now? I can't.
Yeah, I might want to call it CP from now on, because with YouTube's algorithms and auto flags, I probably just tripped the algorithm. You know how it works.
Yeah, well, that's the good thing about Rumble, like, and Twitter, because I just uploaded a very short video that was on my YouTube, and there was a certain word that I censored for my YouTube channel, and I just didn't censor it. I left the word there when I posted on Twitter. I'm like, oh wait, I can do that, and it's so weird. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I've been very bad about self-censoring myself on YouTube, so I'm surprised. I self-censored when I was on Timcast. I made sure that I didn't.
yeah.
I don't want anybody else. You know, I do a lot when I go onto other channels, but I don't want anybody else's channel to get a strike for something I say. Except for me and Carrie Smith joke all the time when I'm on her show. Like every time I'm on her show, I'm like, well, there's your strike. Because we talk about like vaccine stuff that would be considered conspiracy theories and stuff like that. And you know, we've just been very lucky.
I naturally curse a lot, so yeah, I'm happy that Rumble is. I don't know their policies about that, but
Ready for your morning julep?
Yeah, I don't think that they have anything. I don't think they censor anything like that. But that's the other thing is like YouTube. The thing with Twitter, I think that you can actually go on Twitter. You can say stuff in video, but you can't necessarily tweet it because they do have the auto flags on tweets.
well, it's very interesting because before Musk, I wrote a tweet where I wrote the word tranny in it, and it got removed on Instagram, but not on Twitter. So that was really weird. But it's also so weird when I get censored when it's literally my username everywhere on every single social media website. So
Yeah,
I've always experienced Twitter, weirdly enough, being more loose about those rules. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just.
Well, they have been. No, you're right though. They actually have been. I think in the past. Because here's what I've even noticed recently is that Twitter has, since Elon Musk actually took over, I've seen more like 12-hour suspensions and lockouts and stuff like that than in the past. Whereas since he took over, but I've seen a lot less like permanent suspensions. Like so it's a lot. It's more like it seems almost more more censorship is happening, but it's not like getting people permanently suspended unless you do something like absolutely crazy. Like I said, what I said in December, it was a 12-hour lockout, and I wasn't going to delete the tweet either. And then they let me back in, but I haven't tried it to see if they've, changed their like the algorithm or the auto flags to say that the combination of, mental illness in the same tweet as trans or anything, and it's actually anything to do with LGBT, it would get auto flagged. So I don't know if they've actually changed like their flags at all, because I haven't said it. I haven't tested it.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's, actually, Marcus, you go ahead and just tweet it, and then we'll just go for the trifecta right now. Actually, no, because then it's gotta be one of somebody else, because we don't want you to get like removed from all your platforms. And
right.
I can't even contact you.
I want to have something. I want to have something.
Well, because then we have to figure out, we need to know that you were actually taken off of the platform, right? So you have to be able to go on like Instagram and send me a message or something.
Right. Exactly. Someone wrote a comment on Twitter, I'll give him a follow when he's banned of all types of social media. I'm like, that's not possible then.
Like, where are you gonna follow me at that point?
Yeah, he didn't thought I was interesting enough because I only got banned on one website. Okay. Well, sorry.
Well, and I just realized one thing too. Like I said, you and then Kelly on TikTok. It's really odd that Blair White that gave us all the shout out last week, and everybody's starting to get banned off their platforms. All the people that Blair messaged. It's like you and Kelly first, but when are me and Buck coming?
Wow. Yeah. Was that in her live stream? I can't remember.
Which I don't think she's posted it to YouTube on her, but it was on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, she told me she was posting it on but I haven't seen it. So.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think I've.
Yeah, somebody told me go on her podcast from last week, and somebody's like, "Hey, Blair gave you a shout out." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know." And then I talked to her about it. But next on the docket, and this is talking about more trans stuff. We got, let's see, pop this one up here. Big news, actually. The hairband rockers are finally starting to speak out about trans issues. So, Paul Stanley, do you know who you got to know who Paul Stanley is, right?
Not by name.
I think he was considered. Was he considered Star Child in Kiss? I think that was Paul Stanley. He was the front man for Kiss, right? One of them. So he was one of the. Oh my gosh.
We're talking about the band.
Yes, the band.
I just want to be sure.
Okay. So I thought you were gonna say the band, like you didn't know who Kiss was. So
I just want to make sure we're not talking about them.
Yeah. So his post yesterday said there is a big difference between teaching acceptance and normalizing and even encouraging participation in a lifestyle that confuses young children into questioning their sexual identification as though some sort of game, and then parents in some cases allow it. They are individuals who as adults may decide reassignment is their needed choice, but turning this into a game or parents normalizing it as some sort of natural alternative, or believing that because a little boy likes playing dress up in his sister's clothes, or a girl and her brothers, we should lead them steps further down a path that's far from innocence of what they are doing, with many children who have no real sense of sexuality or sexual experience caught up in the fun of using pronouns and saying what they identify as. Some adults mistakenly confuse teaching acceptance with normalizing and encouraging a situation that has been a struggle for those who truly affected and have turned into a sad and dangerous fad. it's quite the statement.
Wow.
Because we don't see enough. Yeah, we don't see enough people coming out here. And again, because so many progressives like to go after conservatives and say and talk about like the hairband rockers who were like, you guys were accepting of this gender nonconformity, but it's like there's a huge difference between being gender nonconforming and then like telling kids that they can transition, right? Like that's where I think people, and so it's really great to have these people that dressed up in wigs and heels and spandex in the 80s coming out and talking like this.
That's amazing.
Which was, and that it didn't even start there, because now, do you know who Dee Snider is?
No idea.
Dee Snider is the lead singer for Twisted Sister.
No
which
idea.
their song is one of their songs is We're Not Gonna Take It. Okay, just go look it up. So now the thing about Dee Snider, he was very progressive when it came to like COVID and stuff like that. He made a lot of splashes for like being very like pro like forced vaccines and stuff like that. But now he even jumped into this today and said, you know what? There was a time where I felt pretty too. Glad my parents didn't jump to any rash conclusions. Well said. And because Paul Stanley was getting a lot of hate for what he said. And actually I got blocked by ContraPoints for just asking. She went after him, and I was like, for what? For wanting kids to wait till they're adults to transition? And then I got blocked. So
wow.
But yeah, Dee Snider. So it's a pretty big deal when you have a lot of these old school rockers just coming out and like, okay,
yeah,
talking sense.
And it makes sense
actually,
that they're the ones saying this. And I know I've actually throughout the years been friends with like not emos. I don't know all the titles, but you know, with the dark makeup, the dark clothes, hair, whatever, and they're super big.
Goth or emo, or most of the time they've been. The problem is it's kind of gone from goth to emo to then there was the scene kids, and then to now it's basically become trans, but the only difference is everybody's like transitioning, like taking hormones, right?
Yeah, but in the old days, which wasn't that long ago because I'm not that old, they were like fine and smart, and because they didn't care what people think. So yeah, I think it only makes sense that someone like that is writing that.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, these guys, I mean, I'll pull up another picture here in a second, but so then White Axe says, I'm a big Bowie fan. He was the androgynous king. He was most definitely a man owned it. I love that about him. Make it androgyny great again. This has been the thing, is we've been kind of saying for a long time, right? Like, and this is why the ideology is so regressive, is because they will take a child, like they used to be like, GNC people are great. Like we should be accepting people that are gender nonconforming all the time. And now they're like, oh wait, you're gender nonconforming and you're 4 years old. You know what? You're probably trans. Let's transition you. It's insane.
To be honest, I don't understand completely the, gender nonconforming, because to me, that doesn't sound like a thing either. It's like we are men and women biologically, but how are men and women? It's like there's no limit. So why do we even need something called gender nonconforming? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's actually a good. That's a good point. I never thought about it that way, because it's like, but it is gender nonconforming is that you don't conform to the stereotypes, right? And that's
but I mean, we're talking about the West. I mean, I think gender nonconforming is a term that would make sense in the Middle East or like other places in the world where they're not progressive and open. So yeah, I've never understood that term.
I got in trouble one time for saying, what did somebody say? They said something about Jesus would be against this stuff, and I'm like, Jesus wore a dress. What are you talking about? Like, because in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
But in other parts of the world, like what we would consider a dress here is considered male attire. in other areas. So it's not, it's basically, it's based on culture. And so, yeah, you have what are considered tomboys, but there's no wrong way to be a boy or a girl. And this is what people don't even understand. I transition, but I mean, I don't even fit. I'm not like this girly girl, right? I'm actually more tomboyish than anything, and that's just always been my personality. But like you said, it's you do you.
Yeah, because you can't be a girl the wrong way, you can't be a boy the wrong way, because that's just what you are biologically, and that will never change. So you can't be bad at your biology.
Yeah. No, you can't. You're right. And biology is one thing. And this is what everybody's like, well, if now, what do you actually say when somebody asks you, well, if being trans is not based on stereotypes, then what is gender dysphoria? Because I have my answer, but I'm curious what you say.
Yeah, it's funny because I talked to my boyfriend about this today. I just bought a shower curtain that I thought it had a neutral color, but now that it's like in my bathroom, I feel like it's too girly. And then I said, "Don't judge me, but I feel a little bit dysphoric right now." And then he said, "Oh my God, that's so irrational." I said, "Dysphoria is irrational. Look at me." So, so I would say dysphoria is just really stereotypical. I don't know. I think gender dysphoria is really about stereotypes, and we can't help it. So
I think there is the aspect of the stereotypes that you want to be presented to society as the opposite sex, right? Like you want to live and be perceived that way. But for me, dysphoria is more about secondary sex characteristics.
Yeah.
Right. How, like, if I was to look in the mirror with no clothes on, and even if I had a shaved head, like, what would I want to see? And it would be about, I don't want to see a beard. I don't want to see, I want to see breast. I want to see, like, that's what the dysphoria is there. It's really, I think early on, Ariel asked me one time, she was like, if you were trapped on a desert island and naked, would you still have dysphoria? And the answer was always yes.
Of course.
So,
yeah. And also,
so I think
without
that's
the
where
internet, you would still have it.
well, actually, who is it? Isabella Maria De Luca, I think, said something about this yesterday. She posted a video on Twitter, and she said, like, what she was answering people that always ask her, what if your kid was trans, right? And she said, she was like, my kid wouldn't be trans because I would take their phone, I would take the internet, I would take all this stuff away, right? And I mean, I follow her and she follows me, and I commented, I said, to an extent, I agree. Your kid would not be trans, because I don't think that kids can be trans, because the act of being trans is to actually transition medically. And I don't think kids should be allowed to do that, but your kid could have dysphoria. I said, I grew up in the 90s without the internet, without all this stuff. And I know I had dysphoria. I knew something was different. I knew that I wanted, I wanted to be a girl and not, the boy that I was growing up as. And so, and she actually responded to that and said, well, I agree. She actually agreed with what I said. So, there is a big difference between, using the term trans and I'm very careful with my words. I always use the word dysphoric children, because to say trans is very different.
Yeah.
So I just
want to say, I go as far to say children with symptoms of gender dysphoria, because like gender dysphoria to me, and this is, maybe me being a nerd, but it's chronic. And kids, you don't know if kids have a chronic disorder. So yeah, but it's complicated. But yeah, you can't be trans as a kid, especially not nowadays with all the social.
That's actually a really good point, because I mean, I think I'm very, very meticulous with the words I use, like, usually. So yeah, but that's actually a good point, because gender dysphoria would be diagnosed with a persistence of, I guess, incongruence is what they say, of uncomfortability with your biological sex. Or, yeah. I guess that with your secondary sex characteristics that you were born as. But it's interesting. So actually, so this show is a little bit about me promoting a lot of my stuff as well that I've been doing for the week. But I didn't write this article for the Blaze because I don't work for the Blaze. But this was actually about this, and Michelle asked me for a quote yesterday. So I said about the Paul Stanley coming out. Let me see, where is my quote? Here we go. I just said all too often. I told her, I said all too often we see celebrities keep quiet on these topics for fear of being called a bigot. But there is nothing bigoted about wanting kids to be kids and waiting until adulthood before making permanent decisions about their lives. Adults can do what they want, but there is no need to medicalize children. When we know 88% end up growing out of their dysphoria by the age of 20. I said, he's right. Accepting and promotion are two different things, which it makes sense. Like, what we can talk about kids. Like, did you see that study, the Frontier study that came out? I guess it came out in 2016, but it was back in the news this week. But it said 88%.
Yeah. Oh, what? Sorry.
No. So that study had said that 88% of kids grew out of it so they started a lot of these kids. The mean age of the start was age of 7. They started them in 89 at the age of 7, and then the mean age when they followed up was the age of 20. And by that time, 88% of them had grown out of it. And that's the longest. I mean, it was only 180 something participants, but it's the longest and the largest study. So when I posted that, people were like, oh, 180 participants. I'm like, it's still the largest study, which actually goes into how just understudied this is, because the industry will completely shut down any conversation. They don't even want to do these studies because they're afraid of how they're afraid of how they're going to, what the results will be, and the results will actually go against them. I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Let me see.
But we also need to understand, what does it mean to accept these children? Because giving them puberty blockers and surgeries is not about accepting. It's not acceptance. It's actually, it's not good. It's not good, and it's not ethical to do that to children who cannot consent. So, we should really have a talk about what's accepting, because they really steal those words, and sometimes I just hate these terms: authentic, accepting, and they made it really woke.
No, you're absolutely right. And they don't want to hear the harmful side effects. I remember Abigail Schreier had an article with Marcy Bowers, as well as Erica Anderson. And Marcy Bowers is the president of WPATH now. And in the article, she said she's not a fan of puberty blockers. And this was before the video came out of her saying that 100% of the time a child that's blocked is never able to orgasm as an adult. And so she knows, as a surgeon, and the whole article was about how they expect surgeons to be miracle workers on this stuff, because I think I actually posted my last video I posted last Thursday was about Mia Ashton's article that she had wrote from a child who was part of the Dutch study who died from complications from a vaginoplasty. And it's like, the only reason why this person had to have the skin graft from the colon, which make it a much more risky surgery, is because they didn't have enough tissue growth, because they put them on puberty blockers. And that study was basically hidden. Like I said, that happened in 2016, and we're just now talking about it now. And I've been in this.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I made a mistake when I talked about it on my channel. I forgot to say that it was in 2016, but it's like, I haven't heard about this before now, or a couple of days ago. Like, why?
And this is the thing. And that's the thing, is I've done a lot of research. So, I mean, I came out in 2014, and then I got out of the Army in 2017, and that's really when I started to kind of explore and do all that stuff and trying to figure out who I was, and didn't decide to transition until 2019. But I took all that time. I'm very meticulous like that, and did all my research. And then I had, I've had bottom surgery, and I'm like, I've done all my research, and all that research, I know who the bad doctors are. I know who should have their license taken away, and I know all that stuff. But I never heard that story.
That's
And
crazy.
so with the amount of research that I've done, I can't believe I've never come across that. But actually, this is a good question for you as well. So Thin White asked me, how do you feel about the Blaze referring to you as a trans activist? Technically, it's true, but I kind of feel it gives the wrong impression. Maybe that's just me. For me, I've kind of accepted the label as trans activist because, yes, it's technically true. And so I'm okay with it. I actually use it for myself now because I am an activist. I used to think that the term activist would give the wrong connotations. It's always kind of placed in a negative light. But no, I'm an activist against children transitioning. So I'm okay with it. What about you? How do you feel about
like it? I don't like it in the American debate. I don't like it, but I mean, no, I don't like it no matter what, because well, back home here, I call myself the president of the Danish Rainbow Council, but we are working with politicians. We're actually now we work together with a political party to pass a bill that bans medical transitions for kids. And don't expect anything. We're really
No.
Yeah, no, it's not going to happen. But it's an honor that it's that all the politicians are about to vote, and and all the parties gathering. But I don't like the term activist, and I also talked to some people about back home about protesting, and then I talked to my friends about it, and then I said I don't like the feeling of standing outside with signs and protesting. I want to work with the politicians, not against them.
Yep.
But I know you agree. Like we would rather work with the people to get things done, and we want the change, but we don't want to be angry and what we associate with an activist.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, because I'm not a person that likes to actually go to like protests and stuff like that either. I think me and you both are very just calm, rational people and like to have rational conversations with people. And so I'm not one of these people that wants to go out there and, scream and yell and stand on the side. Like you said, I want to go actually have conversations. I did the exact same thing when it came to the bill we just passed in Georgia. I take a lot of credit for getting that one passed because I was basically a lobbyist. People, that's where it's got a bad connotation to it too, but it's true. I'm a lobbyist for a lot of these bills here as well. But I prefer the word advocate. I advocate for children's safety. And I'm an activist against the transitioning of minors, I guess, And actually, I have a few bills in Louisiana that we're working on right now too, hoping to get those passed as well. So, but yeah, you're right. I would rather go have sit down conversations with politicians, and it's great. But at the end of the day, we're all kind of activist out here. It's just a term that has negative connotations to it, I think.
Yeah, and I call myself a trans educator and that's why I'm so devastated about being banned on YouTube, because, I'm grateful that I have other options such as Rumble, there are locals, BitChute.
Yeah.
But with YouTube, I was an educator. I talked to the mainstream. I talked to people who don't know anything about all this. But if I go on Rumble and other websites, I'm talking to people who already agree with me. And I got to get used to that because that was not my intentions when I started.
No, You're absolutely right. I think that's where a lot of people mistake what we're doing for activism too. It is. You're absolutely right. We are resource. We are a resource, and we are a body of knowledge that's fighting this fight. When I go to events, I say the exact same thing. I tell all the parents at these events, because that's the problem is, what is it? I think I read 70 million Americans have a Twitter account. There's 70 million Twitter accounts registered in the US. There's 340 million people in the US. It's only like 25%, not even 25% of the population is getting information from Twitter. So when you really think about that, the vast majority of the population is very in the dark on this. And so they're easily swayable. And so that's one of the reasons why getting out and actually doing events and stuff like that is so beneficial, because I get in front of these parents and try to be a resource. And that's what I always tell them. I'm like, I am your resource. But they're the ones that have to do a lot of the groundwork, because we can't be everywhere at the same time. And so we give them the resources that they need. But you have to speak facts, and you have to, like you said, educate. And I think that's part of it too. And what we also are in a unique position, because not only are we educating we do have to educate the right a lot, because what they are seeing, and I wrote an op-ed about this, they're seeing the trans rights activist on the other side, which are mostly not trans, and they think that we are all like them. And so we have to be out there and show them that we're not. But like you said, you're reaching the masses on YouTube. That's the problem, is YouTube is such a large platform. And I think that what we do very well is we are able to reach people that I always like to say, there's people in the middle who are reachable. And this is why I don't like to misgender people. This is why I'm very, cautious about words that I say. Like Dylan Mulvaney, I'll use Dylan's first name instead of, using pronouns, because I just don't like Dylan. But part of that is because, like I said, there's people in the middle that we can reach, and we can bring them to our way of thinking, because the activists they're a very far section, and especially the transsexuals. And I mean, if you noticed this, there's been a lot of transsexuals coming out on Twitter to our side. Like, they've been just popping up everywhere, it seems like. So it's good to see. I mean, there's a lot of people that are finally starting to speak out against it, and it's not just us standing on an island, doing it ourselves. And so that's really I think what our mission is. And you can only do that if you're where they are. Like, you may say something on YouTube, somebody clicks on your video, like thinking they're going to disagree with you, and you go in there and you're speaking sense, or you're not this caricature that the left has created of you, and it brings people over, makes people want to listen more. So that's why I think that it is it's a loss to lose you on YouTube. But like you said, we're gonna have to get used to how we can still push these narratives. And I think, like I said, I think even if it's on, because the left isn't leaving. I mean, progressives are not leaving Twitter. And so if videos can be on Twitter, that'll be the next best route. But I think that Rumble is going to become a bigger player in the game if YouTube keeps doing what they're doing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I've stopped to view this whole fight as a left and right fight. I don't think that this debate or this topic has anything to do with being a right-wing person or a left-wing person. And that's what I loved about YouTube. And because it's supposedly for everyone. And I just feel like, especially BitChute, I haven't been on there for years, but I was there in the beginning when I was friends with a right-winger who I'm not friends with anymore. And that's a right-wing space. I'm sorry, maybe it's changed, but that's a right-wing space. I don't want to be on there because I'm not, like, maybe personally I vote right, but that's not relevant in any way.
No.
So again, that's what I loved about YouTube. It wasn't relevant, or I made it not relevant. But that's hard if I use other medias,
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's rough. Let's see. So next we'll go to this kid is great. So this just happened. I guess it happened a couple weeks ago, but it's finally started to make the rounds. So this kid,
Oh no.
he was sent home from school. You can hear what he says. It's 2 minutes, so.
In the 7th, 10th grade at Nichols Middle School. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. I never thought that the shirt I wore to school on March 21st would lead me to speak with you today. On that Tuesday morning, I was taken out of gym class to sit down with 2 adults for what turned out to be a very uncomfortable talk. I was told that people were complaining about the words on my shirt, that my shirt was making some students feel unsafe. Yes, words on a shirt made people feel unsafe. They told me that I wasn't in trouble, but it sure felt like I was. I was told that I would need to remove my shirt before I could return to class. When I nicely told them that I didn't want to do that, they called my father.
Based.
Thankfully, my dad supported my decisions and came to pick me up. What did my shirt say? 5 simple words. There are only 2 genders. Nothing harmful, nothing threatening, just a statement I believe to be a fact. I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung
Oh
throughout
my
the
God.
school. Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do. Not one person, staff, or student told me that they were bothered by what I was wearing. Actually, just the opposite. Several kids told me that they supported my actions and that they wanted one too. I was told that the shirt was a disruption to learning. No one got up and stormed out of class. No one burst into tears. I'm sure I would have noticed if they had. I experience disruptions to my learning every day. Kids acting out in class are a disruption, yet nothing is done. Why do the rules apply to one yet not another? I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Their arguments were weak, in my opinion. I didn't go to school that day to hurt feelings or cause trouble. I have learned a lot from this experience. I learned that a lot of other students share my view. I learned that adults don't always do the right thing or make the right decisions. I know that I have a right to wear a shirt with those 5 words. Even at 12 years old, I have my own political opinions, and I have a right to express those opinions. Even at school, this right is called the First Amendment to the Constitution. My hope in being here tonight is to bring the school committee's attention to this issue. I hope that you will speak up for the rest of us so we can express ourselves without being pulled out of class. Next time, it may not only be me. There might be more students that decide to speak out. Thank you for your time and good night.
Definitely. Wow. I did not expect that. I
love that kid was great. I mean, obviously I think he had some help with his speech, but honestly, bravo. Like, get up in front of there and speak your truth, but your truth. The truth. Yeah, there's only the truth, and he was.
I'm not a fan of kids being political because that's not possible. Kids cannot be politicians. They have, as you said, someone wrote his speech. His parents said those things, and then he said, "Oh, I agree with them," but like, that's so brave. That's so brave, and it's so relevant. And I know the vice president of my organization, he's a school teacher, and he's like, the kids are like that. The kids, they follow Andrew Tate now, and they don't want all this progressive bull.
Yeah.
You know, they're so tired of it all. So I don't like kids being used in politics, but at the same time, I feel like he's sincere.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I fully agree with that statement. I think this was the best part is, who is this protected class, and are their feelings more important than my rights?
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, yeah, I wrote that up yesterday. See, I just shill everything I'm doing. See,
why not?
It's my YouTube channel. I can do it.
Someone said if you're gonna get banned because you have me on.
No, it shouldn't. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, when they had a lot of shows, like even Timcast and stuff like that, they'll have like Alex Jones, and they'll have Nick Fuentes and stuff like that. Other people that are banned for much worse than what you've done, they'll have they'll have them on, and they won't, you know, ban them for saying what they said. So
Yeah.
it's insane. Well, shoot, we are up on the hour, so that was good. Let's see. Go to this one. This is a good question. I want to put this up here. So Wargamer asks, is the culture war right afraid of platforming trans success stories since it would cast doubt in their narrative? I don't think so. Honestly, the right is the only one who likes to platform us. So, and I don't, you've done quite a bit, but I mean, I've been on Newsmax. I write for the Post Millennial, which has a lot of different, I mean, the Post Millennial and Human Events has a lot of different viewpoints, but like Jack Posobiec is a senior editor at Human Events, and Charlie Kirk, I think, is a senior contributor. And so there's a lot of different viewpoints even at that organization. So I don't think so. I mean, I think they're very open to promoting people like us. I mean, Blair gets promoted everywhere, you know, and she's even said the same thing. Like, the only people that will promote, you know, us is the right. Actually, Buck Angel is another perfect example. He's like everywhere, and everybody's like,
he's not even conservative.
No, he is. He says he's liberal, right? He says I'm yeah. And so, but it's only I mean, he's been on a lot of like right leaning channels, and because they're the only ones that platform us.
Yeah. Speaking of Charlie Kirk, you know, not everyone on the right loves him, but it's like when we get invited to stuff, it's mostly from center right people.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, I met Seth Dillon last week. He was here in Atlanta. I was volunteering at an event that he was speaking at, and I thanked him because he helped me get my Twitter account back. He actually made a tweet, and then he started following me after the event. And
I'm sorry,
Seth Dillon, the CEO of the Babylon Bee. Yeah. And then we chatted a little bit at the event. He seemed to know who I was, and then afterwards I commented, and so he knew now he knows who I was, at least. And then he sent me a message and just to thank me for, you know, good conversation. So it's, I mean, opening those doors with people on the right. Jordan Peterson just started following me this week. So
that's awesome.
I think that they're open to a lot of the discussions. But I think where we get into, and actually it's right-wing organizations are the ones that generally bring me around the country to speak with detransitioners and stuff like that, because I guess they're nonpartisan organizations usually. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is they platform us quite a bit. And they're the only ones that do. So, and I mean, we'll see what happens, but
we just got to show up no matter.
Well, that is what it is. We have to be willing to have the conversations with people that we disagree with. And I think that's the key to kind of gaining acceptance, because, and I think we've done a pretty good job, or we're starting to finally do a good job of showing that, again, these activists don't represent us. Like, we have to call out, you know, the stuff when we see it. Like, I mean, a lot of the radical feminists don't like me, and like I did a video about Kelly J. Keene and stuff like that, and you know what? She probably doesn't like me very much, and I don't care, but she has a right to speak. What she's gone through is not okay, and we need to call that out. And thankfully, and actually that op-ed I wrote for Human Events a couple weeks ago, I'm glad Libby reached out to me, because when I said it on Twitter, she agreed. She said it was like the the BLM protest that was all white people, you know, in New York.
Right.
Because that's what we're seeing. And so we need to get out, we need to speak out, we need to be heard. And so but with that, we'll start wrapping up here. So where can people now find you?
I don't know. No. So on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Rumble. Yes, I think that's it, as the offensive Tranny, or just Marcus Deep. Yeah.
I was gonna say your Twitter account is, you have an underscore, right?
Marcus Deep. Yeah, that's my name.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back in and I'll add your links to the description here. But yeah, thanks for joining me. This was good, and we gotta do this more often. We need to get you back here to the States. That's what we need to do.
Yes. Actually, I'm going on Sunday.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, I'm traveling to California for just 10 days. So yeah, I'm gonna be in California for a little bit.
That's California is the other side of the country as Georgia. Okay, I'm just telling you.
I've been there before. I love it. I love it. So.
I know you did like your countrywide tour last year, right? And
right. Yeah, I'm excited for the weather. I think the most, and seeing my friends, of course.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So thanks for joining me, and everybody else in the comments. Thank you for tuning in. Click that like and subscribe button. Follow across all social media platforms, especially go to Rumble and subscribe on there. I know I've been telling you that for 2 weeks, and we're going to advocate it, especially with Marcus on today. Go to Rumble and support us there. We need to build that platform bigger. And I will see you guys next time.
Bye.